Hi and welcome back. Today I'm here with Stacy. You guys, if you've been doing the channel already, you know Stacy. She's a regular and she's always helping out behind the lens and stuff, but now she has a beautiful, she's a local teacher. You can also check her out on Instagram. She's got her own thing going. It's at Stagibs. So Stagibs. Check her out on there. Make sure to give her a follow. She's going to be demonstrating today while I teach, and Ollie's going to be walking around. Now today we're going to focus a little bit on hip rotation, and we're going to, as we work towards the mobility and strengthening aspect of this week, we're going to focus in our yoga practice on what's going on with the hip. So to start off, lie down onto your back. And begin in Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees wide apart. I forgot I have to stand like over here to be in the shot. Okay, this is sketchy. All right, so in Baddha Konasana, just let your hips open up. So as you're abducting your thighs, feel what feels like it's opening, what feels tight. And then bring your awareness to your breath. We'll come back to our breath practice. So focus on, imagine you could breathe down into your pelvis. Feel your abdomen expand. Feel your whole rib cage expand, not just the front, but all the sides. All the way into the back ribs, up by your armpits. Before you let the breath go out, as the breath goes out, you'll feel the rib cage draw back in and down, the abdomen deflate, and the pelvic floor contract and rise. Send all the air out. One more breath like that. Back down into those structures that were contracting in the pelvis and the abdomen. Feel the side ribs lift and spread and open. And feel it all go back out. Send all the air out. Feel the side ribs draw back in. Full exhalation. We're usually caught in the in-breath pattern. See if you can get that full exhalation. All right, now bring your knees together. And I want you to just see how much internal and external rotation that you can get from your hip. So bring your right leg up into tabletop position and stretch your left leg out. Now, like I was bracing your knee here so that you can't move your thigh around side to side, you're just gonna see how much you can externally rotate your thigh bone. Hold that, feel that, see if you can get a little more rotation, and then see how much you can internally rotate your thigh bone. Hold that, pause. Notice if other things are jumping up along with it. Pelvis, spine. Oh, dang, you got good internal rotation. One more time, try to externally rotate. And internally rotate. Then release that and change legs. Stagibs is the internal rotation master over here. Externally rotate your thigh as much as you can. And internally rotate. Externally rotate. And internally rotate. Good, then release that. Hug your right knee into your chest as you stretch your left leg out along the ground. Stretch your left arm up into the air. And now, like there was a line from your hip to your big toe, stretch from your left inner hip down into your big toe, and from your left inner hip up through your arm, stretch your arm overhead now. Like you're stretching that line, your psoas line, through your big toe, out through your fingers. Honor your neutral curves, lengthen through your neutral curves. Now open your right knee to the right, halfway, without your hips moving. You might be able to take it a little bit further based on how much movement you have in your hip. But just feel when the movement stops from the hip and it starts from the rest of the body. Don't let the rest of the body add to it. Bring your leg back to center. Change sides now. Hug your left knee in as you stretch your right leg out. Deepen your hip crease. And when I say deepen your hip crease, like I had a strap across your hip right here and I was pulling it down to your foot. Then take the arm up and slowly reach it back. And feel this psoas lying deepen. Like I gently place my hand on your right front inner hip and push down, soften there, down through your foot and up through your side of your spine, through your arm. Then open the leg to the side. Start with just halfway. Maybe you can go a little bit further without letting the pelvis compensate. Bring it back up. Hug both knees into your chest. Roll yourself up to seated. Stretch back into downward facing dog. Now, as we were working through mobility day, you might have found like, oh shoot, my wrists don't have good range of motion, or my shoulders, I wasn't even able to take my arms past here. So you can modify this by raising your hands up. You can do your sun salutations with the hands on a chair, just stretching back with the hands on a chair, stepping and going for your warriors. You can modify with your knees down if you don't want to mess with the chair. So you want to adjust the practice so that it meets your limitations and will help you to get better. If you're trying to do the full thing, but you don't have the range of motion, it's not going to get better. So, okay, you've been warned. Walk your feet all the way forward to the front. Put a little bend in your knees, let your head drop. Then roll yourself up to stand. Roll up one vertebra at a time. Then raise your arms up. With your left hand, take a hold of your right wrist and side bend over to the left. Instead of how far over you can go, see how much space you can create. Like you're reaching down from your hip into your foot and stretching up through your side body. Good. Come back up and change sides. Take a hold of the other wrist and reach over. Reach down from your left hip into your ankle. Breathe space. Imagine that your side ribs were gills right now, and you can breathe into your gills, in your waist gills and your side rib gills. Come back up. Both arms up. Now, with your new and improved side body, stretch through there. Breathe into there. Let your arms reach. And fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, make a flat back, lengthen. Step back, plank pose. Good, now we're gonna challenge the plank a bit today. So as you brace in your core with your feet hip distance apart, I want you to see if you can keep from your rib cage up stable as you twist over onto the outside edge of your left foot and inside edge of your right foot. So swivel the feet over. Oh, that's good. Heels back up, change sides. Heels back up, change sides. Heels back up. I'm going to show the modification, change sides. So it would just be twisting your pelvis. If you change sides again, if you got the bad wrist or shoulder situation. Okay, now lower down onto your belly. Inhale into low cobra. And now lift both of your hands off the mat just an inch. So you're feeling your strong back muscles turn on to support you. Those tend to be turned off in everybody, which is why in the strengthening day we really worked on activating those muscles there. And as you do that, you don't want your shoulder heads to roll forward. Remember that important cue. So feel that your shoulder heads are lifted off of your chest. And that's what we worked on that stretch earlier on in the challenge. Now place the hands back down and hold in your low cobra. It's fine to stay in the lower cobra. If the spine is healthy enough to, roll up into upward facing dog. Stretch back into downward dog. Walk your feet forward to the front. Let's create some heat by saluting the sun. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale to fold. Inhale, come up, raise your arms. Exhale, samastiti. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back and lower, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Step or float up to the front. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, raise your arms. Exhale, samastiti. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, raise your right leg up behind you. Exhale, shift into plank, pull your knee up to your chest. Round your back as you push the floor down. As you inhale, slowly lower your knee so it's just an inch above the floor, or you could tap it down and make a flat back. Exhale, pull back up, round from your back. Spread your shoulder blades, push into your hands. One more. Inhale, slowly lower with control. Exhale to pull it back up. Feel your strong core. Lift up your ribs. Step your foot up by your thumb. Good. Now come up onto your fingertips and lengthen in the lunge. Remember that hip crease action. So I've got a rope right across your pelvis and I'm reaching straight back so you deepen the hip crease. This is going to help with that squat action. So if you had a lot of difficulty in your hip hinge, then this is where that's going to start to benefit you. As you deepen the hip crease, free up your torso to reach forward. Now as you press through your right heel, inhale, come up, raise your arms. Now again, if that hip crease hinge is really difficult, you're going to need to elevate your hands. You'll put your hands up on a chair or block so that you're really getting the right place in the hip to move. Bring your hands back down onto the mat. Step back into plank pose. Hold in your plank or add an optional chaturanga push-up, up to you. It can be done with the knees down, build strength how you need to, come back up, stretch back to down dog. Change legs. Now let's take the left leg. Inhale to reach it up. Exhale, shift into pull your knee up. If you want to see what the pose looks like perfectly, just look at how Stacy's doing it. Don't look at my poses. Look how perfect. Pull that up there. And as you inhale, slowly lower the knee. Exhale, pull back up. Inhale, slowly lower the knee. Exhale, pull it back up. Now hold there. Brace in your core, hug the side ribs in and down, lift up. Step your foot up by your thumb. Press into your heel, feel your outer left hip engage, deepen the hip crease as you lengthen through your side body. So like you had somebody pulling your hips back, another person was reaching you from your side ribs. Don't reach from your chin or your eyebrows, that's going to be the tendency. Now as you inhale, come up. Hold in your crescent lunge. So let the lower back lengthen. By taking your breath down, all the way down, you'll feel space start to come in all the discs here so that you can get the movement through your thoracic. So for those of us who had issues getting the shoulders, thoracic spine to move, this is a great way to help with it. Add this length here so the thoracic can move through the reach of the arms. Then bring your hands back down, step back. So through the basic standing poses, you should be able to get all the mobility that you need, but the mobility exercises will help you to find your areas of limitation. Lower slowly and lift back up. Downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward to the front, or step or hop. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose, bend your knees and sit back. Stand Samastiti. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Step your right foot for warrior one. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Step your left foot. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Hold in your down dog. Let's flow through one more B salutation together. Look forward, step or float up. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Remember that jump is for the healthiest wrists, elbows, and shoulders. Stand Samastiti. Until you have it, don't try it. Inhale into chair. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, but Stacy's showing a beautiful example of how it should look. Exhale, Chaturanga, step or float back. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Warrior one, step your right foot. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward dog. Step your left foot. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Now let's step the right foot for warrior one again. Inhale to reach up. Open up to your side for warrior two. So we're gonna work towards a balancing variation of triangle pose today, but for that, you're gonna need to have the ability to fully rotate your thigh and hold it there. So let's make sure that what we're trying to do in the warrior two in the first week is actually happening. So let's look down at the right leg and lift yourself out of the pose just a little bit and see if you can get the thigh to turn out so that the inner thigh turns towards the outer thigh. Deep in the hip socket, you can feel the bone turn. Then from there, slowly start to bring the knee over the ankle. Now, did the rest of your body compensate? Did your pelvis tweak to make that happen? Try to keep the pelvis upright instead of letting the top of the pelvis spill forward. So like it's like a basin or a bowl filled with water, keep it as upright as you can. Keep the back leg steady. Press into your back foot. Then go for extended side angle. Hand onto the outside of your foot or forearm to the thigh. Do you want that? Stacy likes to use a block in this one to help her find that line of energy that we focused on. Remember the back leg, finding the neutral. Now, in the most advanced variation, there is a subtle twist that happens, but I'm going to introduce that in our last week. For here, look for the neutral, stretch to the line of your back leg. Now press down into your feet. Inhale, come back up into warrior two. Straighten your right leg and reach into triangle pose. As you exhale, go to put your hand down. Now in triangle, you're going to need to still have that same rotation of your thigh. So if you look down, you make sure that it's turned, toes point straight ahead, the knee points straight ahead, and that center of the thigh bone is pointing in the same direction of your foot. Now that you have the stretch, you have the rotation, can you put your left hand on your hip, bend your knee, step your back foot a foot closer, then put your hand a foot in front of your pinky toe. From there, lean into your foot and step up. Now, bend your right knee and look down at your right leg. Do you have the same rotation that we practiced in side angle, warrior two, and in triangle? Most thighs are going to want to sink in, and you'll tend to fall onto one side of your foot. So can you rotate and still press into your center heel, big toe mound, and little toe mound? Then once you have that, grip your right outer hip back to your back heel and try to pull your thigh bone up into the hip socket. Now last part, elongate, stretch through your back heel, reach through your crown, wake up the muscles in your spine, and then see if you can take your left arm up if you're steady. Breathe through your nose. Remember how the breath can help you to elongate and open? Breathe all the way down into your pelvis. Bend your right knee and come back into warrior two. Nice job. Hold that warrior two, stay steady there. Take a deep breath. And vinyasa, hands to the mat, step back. Remember, you can always skip the vinyasa, just go right back to down dog. Step your left foot, warrior one. But if you're working on upper body strength, you can add those. Open to your side, two. Get the rotation for your femur. So the more that you try to rotate your femur out, the more you're going to try to twist on your foot. So push into your foot, your heel, big toe, and little toe mound. Then rotate your thigh, pelvis upright, lumbar nice and tall, columns of the spine stack up on top instead of leaning side to side. Let the head balance right up on top. Then come into side angle pose. Place your hand on the outside of your foot. Take your right arm over. So remember pubic bone, front hip bones day, pelvic floor day. Find your neutral pelvis so that your pelvic floor aims to your back ankle. It's not tipped towards your big toe or tipped back to your heel. And then from there, elongate through that line. Still, do you have that rotation in your thigh? Did you start to sink in? We all tend to be tight in these adductors, the muscles that pull in. So those tight adductors are wanting to twist your thigh in. Stretch from your groin to your left inner knee is the way one of my teachers used to put it. Smooth the skin from your left inner thigh to your knee. Now come back up. Straighten your left leg without those tight adductors pulling the thigh, and then reach into triangle pose as you exhale. Feel that the breath can help you to release the tension where you're all stuck up and bound. Now imagine you could breathe space in between your groins and into your pelvis, because the tighter those are, the harder it's going to be to step up and balance. But the more opening we have there, the better the half moon will get. Right hand to your hip, bend your knee, slide your hand a foot in front, and step it up. Now with your hand on your hip, bend your left knee and look down. The bent knee is going to reveal what's really happening. Push into the foot evenly, turn that thigh out. You need strong outer hip muscles to get the rotation and open inner thigh muscles. So get those groins to smooth towards your knee. And then once you feel you have all that, pull the thigh up and then stretch, elongate from your back leg into your spine. Maybe even take your arm up once you're steady. Breathe through your nose. Now, bend your left knee and smooth step back to warrior two. like Lando Lakes over here. Hands, sorry, hands like butter. Hands to the mat, step back, vinyasa, or just go right back to dog. Inhale into plank pose. Set your elbows down. Shoulder limitation, people. This is gonna be the last week that I continue to go through the modifications. After this, I'm just gonna expect that you remember and you know. But I don't have to keep repeating, it's gonna get annoying. Okay, so for the shoulder limitation, people, you'll just set a knee down if you don't have the range of motion for your shoulder for this next one. If you have the healthy shoulder, come into side plank with your left elbow down. So Stacy just rolls onto the outside of the foot, takes her arm up, she's got the healthy shoulder, she's got the strong core. If you don't have that yet, you just set the knee down and work on aligning yourself like I showed you in week 1. Now control the movement, slowly come down, right elbow down and open up to the other side. Control the movement, bring your elbow down, hold there. Now brace your core and bring your right knee towards your right armpit. Hip limitation, people, you won't be able to get the knee up that far, that's okay. Change sides. Take your left knee up to your left armpit. Step it back, hold there. Now walk into down dog on your forearms. If your shoulders need a break because you're just building strength in them, set your knees down for a second, find good alignment, and then go back up. Remember those alignment points from last week. Keep the thoracic spine moving in like my knees in there. Lift from your hips, keep your rib cage in. Look at how solid this rib cage action is. This is a strong core, not the ability to do crunches. The ability to hold yourself while you move your body in space. That, to me, that's more important. Now last part, if you want to make it the most challenging, you can raise a leg up. Stacy's going to take a break so that she can fix her shoulders, which is really good. I'm glad that she showed that because it's more important that you have good alignment, that you're not just jamming yourself. Change sides. So I want you to honor that in your own body throughout this whole challenge. This is what an advanced practitioner looks like. Somebody that's listening, honoring, not somebody that can do a bunch of fancy stuff. Lower your leg back down. Child's pose, knees together, sit back on your heels, arms back. So in this child's, just let your spine round, feel the back of your neck open, breathe into it. Downward facing dog, stretch back. Then make your way to seated. All right, so now we're gonna try a variation of the figure 4, or I'm sorry, the 90 and 90 stretch. This one. So you can start off with your legs, just so you can see what Stacy did. You can start off in Baddha Konasana and then internally rotate the left thigh and bring it to your side. Now she's showing a perfect 90 and 90. I'm gonna show a 90 and 90 for somebody with tighter hips and groins. So if you weren't able to internally and externally rotate well, like these muscles are super tight on you, do less of a open angle and more of what I'm showing. Knees not quite at 90. Just work on sitting up as tall as you can, breathing into the stretch here. Then release that and change sides. So if you're like, oh, I can sit in this position no problem, don't worry, on mobility day, we're gonna make it more challenging. We're gonna see if we can get deeper into it, do different variations. If you were seated like me and you're like, holy smokes, it's just difficult to just sit with my legs just even close to 90 and 90, I feel like they're gonna rip off, then again, the mobility stuff will help. So wherever you're at, you'll be able to find room for improvement. Then go back to the front of your mat again and sit in Baddha Konasana. And you can work on your upright seat, which tight hips, it'll be better just to work on the upright seat. Or if your knees are already at the line of your hip, you're able to let them drop down that far like Stacy's doing, they're not way up high, then you can start to lean forward, maybe even fold forward. But if your knees are way up high and you're all tucked under, better just work on sitting up straight and letting the knees drop. Then come back up, lie down onto your back, come into bridge pose, press your heels down, lift your hips up. Either interlock your hands behind your back or grab a hold of the sides of your sticky mat. Descend the tops of the shoulders, descend the upper arm bones. Feel the skin of the chest roll open, but keep your rib cage connected to your pelvis instead of letting it fly up and do its own thing. When you do that, when you keep the ribcage connected to the pelvis, you're integrating your core into it. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be rigid, but you get a movement that comes from your whole spine instead of just hinging in one part of your spine. Breathe through your nose. Lower your hips down. Gently hug your knees into your chest. Take happy baby, reach onto the insides of the knees, grab a hold of the outsides of the feet or the big toes. Then set your left foot down onto the ground, right leg up in table. Now, imagine that you could twist your right femur bone in the socket. Twist it externally as much as you can. Pause there when you hit the barrier, and then see if you can turn one more degree. Does it feel like it moves a little bit better than at the beginning? Turn it the other direction. Internally rotate, turn the bone in the socket. When you hit the end spot, pause there, and then see if you can rotate one more degree. Back to center, change legs, left knee up, rotate it externally, find your end, rotate one more degree, rotate the other way, get one more degree, and then back to center. Set your feet down, shavasana. Let your body relax completely now. Scan for where there's any areas where you're still holding tension. Give those areas permission to completely relax. Practice training your concentration to the sensations that you're feeling in the body and to the movement of the breath. Then gently bend your knees. Roll over to your side. Press yourself up to seated. Thank you. Namaste. So let me know below in the comments if you felt that you were able to rotate your thigh a little bit better, and maybe if you didn't even get more rotation, that you just felt like you had better control through the movement at least. Let me know what happened. All right, have a good one. Thanks to Stacy, and we'll see you tomorrow.